Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus A330 pilot, and welcome back to the iniBuilds Airbus A340-300. Today we are going to fly it from Los Angeles to Frankfurt on the Lufthansa flight 451, which is a real-world service operated on the type. Looking forward to it, but before we start, a quick message from today's sponsor, Say Intentions AI. If you're looking for an ATC add-on that can not just do your standard IFR A to B flight, but also other things like data link, VFR, and even a cabin crew simulation, then look no further than Say Intentions AI. We'll be using them for a lot of those features today, so if you like what you're about to see, then check them out using the link in the pinned comment or the video description below. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into this. So we're standing in Los Angeles, and follow me into the cockpit. It's just beautiful with the sun immediately behind us, and just look at the wonderful EIS-1 cockpit of the A340-300. I just totally fall in love with this one. I really do. Now, let's go ahead and get started down here with a couple of the basics, and that's the preliminary cockpit preparation, which is engine masters off, start selector norm, the weather radar is turned off, landing gear levers down, wiper selectors are off. We check the battery voltage to be more than 25.5 on each and every one of them, and then we can power the aircraft up. Now, here we go with general power applied to our airplane, and then let's just move up here and we'll turn the ADRs on, number 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll do the APU fire test, which is also looking good. And then let's just give the airplane a little while it's powering up. We can make good use of that time though to go into our electronic flight bag. Starting on the My Flight screen, we are going to import our flight plan from SimRief, which is right over here. Now let's go straight down into the OFP tab, which is where all the interesting stuff is. So going all the way down, you can notice that we do have our flight plan right over here. We are flying a little bit north of the Great Circle track today because of the winds, and then we do have a jet stream coming from the back right over here. We are following one over Hudson Bay as well. A little bit of turbulence forecast over here until level 380, which we're probably not going to be able to outclimb, and then we're crossing one more jet stream just north of Scotland, and then all the way down to our destination. Now let's go ahead and have a look at our weather, and the weather is actually looking really good today. Frankfurt, clear skies, and the forecast remains just that way with probably runway 07 in use. Our alternate Stuttgart has likewise very good weather conditions. Now when we depart Los Angeles on time, then we're going to end up in Frankfurt on time as well. Rather heavy today, 170.1 tons of zero fuel weight, and that gives us a takeoff weight of 246.8. Starting in level 330 and then later on making our way up to flight level 370 today. Now with that, let's go ahead and find the fuel section of today's plan, which is right down here. Looking into this, we are going to depart with 76.8 tons of takeoff fuel. That leads to an arrival with about 8 tons of fuel on board roughly. 600 kilos taxi leading us up to 77 something, so let's make that 78 tons of fuel. I really don't see the need for any more than that because, well, minimum fuel is going to be absolutely sufficient on a flight like this. Good, so with that now decided, let's head up into the fueling and boarding menu, import everything from SimRief, then we'll go onto the fuel page and we'll enter our fuel over here, 78 tons. Oh, that was a little bit too much. 78, here we go. And then let's hit instant load, and once that is done, we can move right over here into the GSX menu and we can request boarding down here. Handling will be by Menzies, because why wouldn't it? Alright, now continuing from there on, let's go ahead and prepare our departure charts. Starting in Los Angeles, we do have the aerodrome parking charts. There should be something... No, those layouts have changed, have they? Let's see, APC 1, is that going to be ours? Yeah, it is. That's the one we need. Perfect. Then we also need the aerodrome ground chart, which we've got right down here. And then we're also looking for the departure chart, and we have the Lady J4 departure today. And perhaps we can find some procedural description for that one as well. Here it is. Wonderful. So the next thing we got to do is to do our takeoff performance calculation. And we end up with a takeoff weight of 248 today. So let's go down here, takeoff calcs, runway 24 left. We'll synchronize the weather, and then we got 248 tons. Flaps 2, air conditioning off, calculate. And surprise, we can depart. Who would have thought that that's possible? Flex 40, and all the figures are looking wonderful. Alright, cool. So that's our stuff on the EFB done down here. Then let's continue on our ECAM. So we'll start with a recall for 3 seconds. And that's good, there's nothing in there. Then we've got sufficient oxygen for the flight. The hydraulic quantity is fine. Engine oil quantity is full, perfect. Alright, now flaps are up, that agrees with the lever. Spoilers are retracted as well. Park and brake. Got a little bug down here. I am recording this with the pre-release beta version, so we just gotta remove the chocks so that we're able to check this. And now when pressing the brakes, the alternate brakes are working just fine. So let's put the chocks back in position, and while we're at it, let's quickly check the brake temperature, which is cold, so the plane has been standing for a little bit longer, it seems. Alright, great. So that's everything completed down here. Then let's go ahead and start our ACAS initialization so that that stuff gets on the way. A340-300, CFM56, nav database up to date. Scratchpad messages are all checked, and then we can go down to the init page and do an initialize data request. Now, while that is on the way, oh, here we go already. That was a quick one. Let's get that up over here. Cool, so with that out of the way, let's start our cockpit preparation procedure right here on the overhead. Something that I just like about the EAS-1 cockpit here is how those off lights just have a slightly different color than all of the EAS-2 aircraft. It just shows that those planes are a little bit older, a little bit more worn out, and I don't know, I think that's just a nice touch over here. Fueling is complete, so let's go ahead and turn all those things on. Engine fire test is looking fantastic. Over here, everything's set. We want to listen to the PA. Voice recorder test is done. Beautiful. Now, let's see what our current weather looks like. There's a QNH of 2997. So that's going to be 2997 set up here. I'm not 100% sure if I'm happy with the fact that iniBuilds changes the unit of measurements down here on the altimeter based on what I select up here. I mean, in the real world that wouldn't happen. In the real world there were only hectopascal units produced, so changing that to inches, I don't know. I mean, I get why they're doing it, it just makes things easier for the general flight simmer, but I gotta admit, I'm not really a fan of doing that. Alright, good, so we'll just keep the frequencies as they are for the time being. However, I will already tune our radios down here. Now, tilt can go 5 degrees up. We need weather and turbulence down here. Gain is calibrated. Everything's set. Everything's set. Well, and then we are going to move right on into our MCDU. So let's get our flight plan up here, and then let's go ahead and start. Now, I will be doing my entries using my WinWing MCDU, so if you don't see me moving my mouse over here while typing, then that's why. But I'm going to talk about what I'm actually doing so that you guys are able to follow along. So clearing the scratchpad messages, and then we've got Los Angeles to Frankfurt, alternate Stuttgart, Lufthansa 451, Cosnx 50, flight level 320, and I am actually going to change that to flight level 330 over here. Step deleted is checked. Okay, so flight plan, Los Angeles, departure, and that's going to be runway 24 left, and let's go down a bit, Lady J4. Here it is, and we have the Castro transition. Alright, insert that, and now for Frankfurt arrivals, we have an ILS, most likely Yankee approach to runway 07 left down here, and we got the Dixat 1 Delta arrival. And we take the Delta Fox 454 transition. Okay, insert. So that leads us to 5,218 nautical miles versus 5,224 nautical miles. That is absolutely fine. Now let's go to data, next page, stored waypoints, and we'll add the Los Angeles emergency 6, I think. Alright, and that's going to be based on Los Angeles 24 left, /, let's see what the runway heading is. Right up here, 251. And straight ahead for 25 miles, PBD point, which we can store. And then let's go into the secondary flight plan, copy the active Los Angeles emergency 6, and paste that into here. Now we can set up a holding on this one, and that's going to be 251 right turns and 1 minute lag time, like that. And now let's make it an immediate return to Los Angeles. And then we need an arrival, which is going to be runway, well, 25 right, because I just want the longer runway over here, in case we need to return, because we are going to be pretty heavy. Alright, and that is now in here. Now let's go back to the flight plan page and open up the fix info page. Los Angeles runway 24 left, with the runway heading 251 to draw the extended center line. And then on the next page, Los Angeles emergency 6 going in here. Now, in it, next page, let's see what we've got. And yeah, I suppose I will just take that straight from the EFB. Even though in the real world, obviously, at this point we will still be waiting for the load sheet to arrive. So we've got 170.0 exactly, and 27.6. So 170/27.6. Entering that, 78 tons of fuel. Let's see, wind component is going to be a tailwind of 40 knots. Okay, now let's find a couple of fuel figures. So, constraint, or rather contingency fuel, 2.1, alternate 3.7, final 2.6. And that leaves us with 3 minutes of extra fuel. It's not the world, but it's totally fine. Okay, then over to the takeoff performance, and we've got a config 2 with flex 40 and 4.9 units trim. So 2/up 4.9, 40 degrees of flex temperature, and then takeoff speeds 39, 45, 62. Alright, noise abatement procedure number 2 is confirmed, and engine out in 1500 AGL, like that. Next phase, derated climb 1, as we are rather heavy, and on the procedure page Los Angeles, or progress page Los Angeles 25 left, putting that in here, and that's our FMS setup completed. So cruise level 330, optimum 320, maximum 352, looks good. Now let's go back to the flight plan. Couple more things for us to do actually, so let's go for the step altitudes up next and see what we got. So starting in flight level 330, then we got 350 at 55 north, 105 west. That is correct. Then we are climbing to flight level 370 at 68 north, 50 degrees west. That is also correct. And then we've got no further step climb. Alright, so that is looking good. Now, next up, let's go ahead and check our oceanic waypoints. So, after Axili, we've got, let's see, 55 north, 105 degrees west. And that's confirmed. Then, return, and next one, and that's down here. That's 60 degrees north, 100 degrees west. Confirmed. Alright, then we got 64.5 degrees north, there we got it, halfway point, and 90 degrees west, that is also correct. And then we're going to continue via 66.5 north, 80 degrees west, which is also confirmed. Then we continue to 67.5 north, 70 degrees west, also confirmed. Then via Canal, then we continue via 68 north, 60 west, which is correct. Then we've got 68 north, 50 west. which is also correct. And then we've got a couple more even. So the next is going to be 67.5 north, 40 west, correct. Then we continue via 66.5 north, 30 west, also correct. Then 64.5 north, 20 west, also correct. And finally down here we've got 62 north and 10 degrees west. Thereafter Nayland 40, and that's already correct. Alright, beautiful. So now we've got all this stuff checked. Next thing for us to do is to cross-check our SID. So let's have a look at the chart down here. So pin charts, Lady J4. So that's going to be straight ahead towards Darley, and that's going to be below 3,000 feet. Then we continue on towards Annie below 5,000 feet. And then we've got Ayano, right hand turn Malibu above 7,000 feet. Then we continue towards Lady J at 8,000 feet. Then we've got Rugby, Oros, Heijo, and Castro. Well, and that's our entire route, or rather our entire SID. That's all confirmed. Beautiful. QNH up here 2997. Initial climb probably going to be 3000. Let's see what the SID PT has to say about that. Initial climb 8000. Okay. Here we go. It's pre-selected. You can have inches over there. Everything's set. Very nice. So, oxygen tests is looking okay. And with that, we've done everything we needed up here. So, let's go ahead and grab our IFR clearance. So, ATC com, ATC menu, next page, and departure request. So, aircraft type is A340. ATIS is Alpha. We are flying from CLAX to EDDF. Our gate is the 154. Station is CLAX. Alright, and that's looking good. Lufthansa 451, Airbus 340-300, Los Angeles to Frankfurt, gate 154, ATIS Alpha, station Los Angeles, and that looks good. Send. Sending. Now, something that's interesting on the iniBuilds over here is that the send buttons appear. In the real world, it's down here on the right hand side. So the order of the buttons over here is not necessarily always good in the iniBuilds A340. I do hope that they are going to be working on that for a bit. But I did already start reporting that kind of stuff, so should hopefully be there soon.
Departing from Los Angeles to Frankfurt. We kindly ask you to take your seats according to your boarding passes and stow your hand luggage in the overhead bins or under the seats in front of you. If you need any assistance, please do not hesitate to contact
Okay, good. Oh, and ATC message. So, request being processed, stand by. We can close that one, and there is a second message. Here we go. So, let's see. Clear to Frankfurt, Lady J for departure, which is confirmed, of runway 24 left. Maintain 5000. Here we go. Departure on 124.3, squawk 2231. Okay, expect runway 24 left, departure 124.3. Let's just put that somewhere over here. Alright. Great. And then Wilco and send. Sending, send, thank you very much. And closed. So something that's a little bit weird is that it tells us company message now, and the way we can get rid of that is to go in here in ATC com, ATC menu, and then message record, and then it wants us to view them all over here. That's a bug at the moment. I've already submitted that one to iniBuilds. They're working on it, so hopefully hopefully going to be fixed soon. Alright, great. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and do our departure briefing, and once that is done, we can get ready to go. So we'll be departing Los Angeles today on runway 24 left. Lady J for departure, initial 5,000. 3,000 keeps us safe since straight ahead is basically out to the ocean. Yeah, that's it. Extra fuel and time. We didn't take any. So that's 5 minutes according to the FMS. Now for our taxi, we've got no hotspots. It's a fairly easy taxi today. Straight ahead, right, left to the full length. We do definitely need the full length of the runway though, so if they do try to get us any intersections, we are unable to accept them. Engine out sits straight at 25 miles to the Los Angeles emergency 6 point, pick up a holding in 3000 and then we can come back. We are going to be above the maximum landing weight, so if we do come back then that's going to be with an overweight landing onto runway 25 right. That thing is 3,900 meters long, absolutely sufficient. If we've got time available we can evaluate if we want to do fuel jettison or not. Chances are we'll probably not do it, but we'll see. We do have all the time in the world. Only if the aircraft is on fire, not extinguishable, then we're going to return to runway 25 right with a traffic pattern visually, southern pattern so that I can see the runway out of my window here, and that's really all I've got. Apart from that, do you have any questions or suggestions? No? Lovely, so that's our departure briefing completed. Then let's do the cockpit preparation checklist, please. Gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity. So that's 77,920 kilograms balanced. Seatbelts on, ADIRS. Nav and baro ref QNH 29997. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. Alright then, how's the boarding going? Completed, nice. So, prepare for Pushback and Departure, please. Liebe Fluggäste, einen schönen guten Abend aus dem Cockpit. Hier spricht Ihr Kapitän. Mein Name ist Emanuel. Im Namen der deutschen Lufthansa darf ich Sie herzlich an Bord unseres Airbus A340 auf unserem gemeinsamen Flug nach Frankfurt willkommen heißen. Die Flugzeit heute wird ca. 10 Stunden und 30 Minuten betragen. Erwarten einen weitestgehend ruhigen Flug. Wir wünschen Ihnen jetzt einen schönen Aufenthalt an Bord, eine ruhige Nacht und melden uns dann im Anflug mit den neuesten Wetterinformationen bei Ihnen. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emanuel. In the name of Lufthansa, welcome aboard our Airbus A340-300 on our flight to Frankfurt. Today's flight time will be approximately 10 hours and 30 minutes, expecting a mostly smooth flight. For the time being, sit back, relax and enjoy the flight with us. If there is anything we can do for you to make it more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to contact any of our charming cabin crew. Thank you very much for your attention and again welcome aboard. Alright, so that's our cabin dealt with. Then the final load sheet should be here and all the figures are in already. Takeoff performance remains valid, D-rate is in there as well. Perfect, so that good stuff is done. Then let's go ahead with the before start procedures. And I tell you what, let's go ahead and call for a clearance real quick. So, ground probably north, I guess. Number 8, City Ram Tower 131075. That's not simulated, unfortunately, so let's call 12165. Okay, so let's see, what's our call sign again? Lufthansa something. 451. Okay, we can deal with that. Los Angeles ground, Lufthansa 451 heavy, request pushback and startup.
Lufthansa 451 Heavy, pushback and startup approved, tail south.
Pushback and startup approved, tail south, Lufthansa 451 Heavy. Okay, before start checklist, park and brake, set, takeoff speeds and thrust, V1 139, VR 145, V2 162, flex 40, windows, closed, bacon, tasty, before start checklist complete. So, ground from cockpit. Pushback and startup approved, tail south. That means the nose to the left, please. So that's going to be that one, facing north. Okay, release park and brake. Park and brake released, we're ready to go, and the pushback is 1 minute early. You guys are amazing over here. And with that, we'll call it off block at 29. So we're ready to start engines 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that sequence, and you guys give me the signal when we're clear to start, please. Alright, I guess we're clear to start now.
All doors in flight and cross-check. 1 second pause. Welcome
So,
everyone on
starting
board.
engines 1 and
Captain
2.
and the crew on this flight to Frankfurt. My name is Mala Meyer, and I am your purser for this journey. Joining me today are Captain Emmanuel and First Officer Stephanie, along with our dedicated cabin crew.
And here we go, number 1 is coming, waiting for 10% and 2.
Now, for your safety,
Here we go, and engine 2 start.
following safety briefing. To fasten Please do not inflate your vest until you are outside the aircraft in the event of an evacuation. Speaking of evacuations, in the unlikely event that we need to evacuate the aircraft,
Alright, we've got a good start in engines 1 and 2, starting engines 3 and 4.
this Airbus A340-300
Clear 3-4.
has 8 emergency exits.
And
2
avail.
left and 2 in
So, engine 3 start.
Please take a moment to locate the nearest exit, which may be behind you. Thank you for your attention. We will be coming around shortly to offer you our onboard delights, including our Oktoberfest special, a pretzel, and a wheat beer for €5.90. Please remember that
And we got
drinks and Wi-Fi
10%.
are captured, so have your cards ready.
Engine 4 start.
Now,
And the pushback is completed, set park and brake.
ready for departure.
Park and brake set. Something that I just love about Saint Tensions is the fact that they adapt the announcements. So right now it's the Oktoberfest in Munich, and they are offering an Oktoberfest special on a German airline. That's just stuff that I like. So, ramp agent is removing the pin, and he's going. Alright, we have 4 good engine starts. Please prepare the airplane for taxi. See you on the right hand side with a clear signal, and then have a good day. Bye bye. So, 4.9 units trim. Like this. Alright, and there's the ramp agent walking away. Good. After start checklist. Anti-ice, off, econ status, checked, pitch trim. It's 27.6% set, and rudder trim neutral. After start checklist complete. Flight control checks, please. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Now be careful with the rudder. If you slam that thing to the side, the passengers in the back are going to hear a really loud bump when it smashes into the limiter. So just be a little smooth there on the rudder. Like that. Awesome. Lufthansa 451 Heavy, request taxi.
Lufthansa 451 Heavy, runway 24 left, taxi via Kilo Echo, Echo 7.
Taxi runway 24 left, Kilo Echo, Echo 7, Lufthansa 451. So straight ahead, to the right at the end, and then Echo 7, we'll see about that, we'll request Echo 6 later. The left side is clear, the right side is clear. Parking brake released, and let's go. Brake check, pressure 0. So, looks like we do need quite a bit of thrust to get moving today. Unsurprisingly, since we are pretty heavy, even though we're still some 30 tons below the max takeoff weight. We're on an apron here, that means we can go 15 knots. And I do absolutely intend to do that. Here we go. So, 15 knots. Alright, so let's first of all get clear of the apron, and once we clear the apron, then we can do all of our procedures. I think that's the best way forward here.
Thank you for choosing to fly with us today.
I gotta say, I'm usually not too much of a fan of wing views, but the view on this plane is nice. Seeing those two engines, it just has something special to it, doesn't it? Now let's get back to the flight deck though. Okay, so we'll go all the way to the end and then off to the right hand side. Let's see, clear on the left, and just look at the beautiful sunset there. And likewise clear on the right. Excellent. And you'll just get this one. Looks a little bit nicer, doesn't it? So, it's still not too dark, but let's start getting a little bit of the floodlights up. Clear left side, and we'll take the next to the right onto Echo. The sun has already set, so it's not going to be long until it's gonna get dark, like really quick. And clear on the right side. So, down at 7 knots, we gotta be a little bit careful going into that turn here. Let's already add some thrust. The A340 has some huge drag when you're going through a turn, so you gotta be careful with that. If you're getting too slow, then it will be very, very hard to get moving again. Basically, I would try not to go below 5 knots in any circumstance in a turn. And if you really have to stop in a turn, center the nose wheel, go straight for a bit, and then stop the airplane after a meter or two. But make sure that your nose wheel is straight. Alright, so I've got no changes to the takeoff briefing. Transponder is set. And the cabin is ready. Perfect. Alright, taxi checklist. Flight controls checked. Flap setting, config 2. Radar and predictive wind shear on and auto. Engine start selector. Norm and ECA memo. Takeoff no blue. Taxi checklist complete. Lufthansa 451, request taxi to the full length. We need the full runway length for departure. Then tower will be on 133.9.
Lufthansa 451 Heavy, runway 24 left taxi via Echo, Echo 7, cross runway 24 left at your discretion for full length.
Echo Echo 7, Lufthansa 451. Yeah, I don't care. I'm gonna go to Echo 6. Okay, 124.3 is gonna go into the standby as our departure frequency. Los Angeles Tower, Lufthansa 451 Heavy, ready for departure.
Lufthansa 451 Heavy, Los Angeles Tower, runway 24 left, winds 240 at 11. RNAV Del Rey, cleared for takeoff.
RNAV Del Rey, runway 24 left, clear for takeoff, Lufthansa 451 Heavy. Okay. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. Lineup checklist. Takeoff runway, 24 left full length, TCAS, TARA, PAX 1 and 2, off, lineup checklist complete. So here we go, 6 knots, now 5 knots into the turn, and without thrust we would absolutely stop here. For that reason I'm adding some thrust now, but look at what's happening to our speed when I go into that turn. Even with thrust on. So the status page is checked, thank you. Are you ready? Then take off. Manflex 40, SRS, runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. Knots, checked.
V1.
Rotate. Positive climb, gear up. Nav, checked. Thrust, decline 1, climb, auto thrust. SoCal departure, Lufthansa 451 Heavy, passing 1,600, climbing 5,000.
Lufthansa 451 Heavy, SoCal departure, negative radar contact. Please verify your squawking 6535 and your transponder is set to mode C.
Squawk 6535, Lufthansa 451 Heavy. Said something different during our clearance.
Lufthansa 451 Heavy, SoCal departure, radar contact. 4 west of Los Angeles at 1900 feet. Los Angeles altimeter 2994. Climb and maintain 8,000, turn right heading 085. Vectors to Del Rey. Then as filed, climb and maintain flight level 190.
So flaps 1. Lufthansa 451 Heavy, confirm right and turn heading 085, climb maintain 8,000. Fairly sure that's what he said. And flap 0. Speed checked. flaps 0. Alright, so we've got heading 085 and altitude 8000 blue. Lufthansa 451 heavy, request high speed below flight level 100. As you can see, green dot is 255, so...
Lufthansa 451 heavy, negative. No high speed request below flight level 100 has been made.
I'm making it now. I'll assume that's granted. So, 255, heading 085, autopilot 1. Even though that heading just makes no sense. Lufthansa 451, request to proceed direct rugby. Go to rugby approved, Lufthansa 451, thanks. Okay, that way we are going to do a nice little turn over downtown Los Angeles. Well, not quite downtown, but we are going to have a lovely view in Los Angeles. And that one I'm definitely looking forward to. Look at that.
Lufthansa 451 heavy, climb and maintain flight level 220.
Lufthansa 451 heavy, climb and maintain flight level 220. Okay, 2000 blue. So, acceleration flow pattern, flaps up, spoilers retracted, landing gear up, and tags on. And the lights should be up. Yep, this looks nice. Most certainly looks nice. Except for those sound stutters. Really hope Asobo is gonna fix those with Sim Update 4. At least they said they would, so let's see about it. And in the meantime, just enjoy that beautiful view. You know, I could have challenged ATC straight away and asked them, like, why they want us in heading 085, but I knew that something like this would happen with it, and I definitely don't regret this. The view is just awesome, isn't it? Just really, really awesome. Okay, and with that, I think we gotta return to the flight deck over here. Climbing at 1800 feet a minute. Not too fast, but then again, it's an A340. Let's already go ahead and turn those floodlights up a little bit more. Yeah, that looks beautiful, doesn't it? Also, look at the panel here.
451 heavy, climb and maintain flight level 260.
Lift on the 451 heavy, climb and maintain flight level 260. And that's 26,000 feet. I mean, this looks lovely, doesn't it? I really thoroughly enjoy flying this. Okay then, passing 10,000, speed is managed again. Lights are going to remain on until 18,000. We can release our passengers. Then let's do clear and copy, please.
Dear guests, we are now at sea
cruising 330, optimal 325, maximum 354, easy going. Alright, so step counts are in, just to be 100% sure. Yes, they are. Oh, beautiful. So with that, we've done everything that we had to do. So let's just go ahead and turn those lights on. Well, and then I tend to say sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. And I'll see you all when we start our approach into Frankfurt. Okay, so let's call the approach and see what they got in store for us. On the radar, Lufthansa 451 heavy passing flight level 150, descending level 100, information Alpha.
Lufthansa 451 heavy, Frankfurt approach identified. Good afternoon, expect the ILS Yankee runway 7 left approach into Frankfurt via Delta Foxtrot 454.
Expecting the ILS Yankee runway 07 left, Lufthansa 451. Okay, ILS Yankee 07 left is confirmed. That's indeed what we had already planned with, so let's go ahead and have a look into what we're expecting from the arrival. The XF1 Delta is what we're currently on, passing rollers. Now a couple of restrictions here, Osprey at level 100 and then basically into the downwind, from where we can expect radar vectors for the ILS. Now, I will be asking for vectors a little bit before we actually enter the downwind, so hopefully we don't have to fly like the entire transition. Approach starts down here, Delta Fox 450 and 5000, 3.2 degree glide. So that means carefully configuring the aircraft early is going to be very important, since the airplane really doesn't like to descend very well, which is completely realistic here. Now, missed approach then, left with a couple of speed restrictions here, especially that 221 over here is going to be important for us, because 220 means that we can just about clean the airplane up, but really just about. Okay, cool. And that's the major part of our briefing here. Let's see if we can already get some radar vectors. Lufthansa 451, request radar vectors for the approach. So, let's see.
Something went wrong on this end, and I wasn't able to do the math on the vectoring approach. This has been reported as bug, but you'll need to get yourself to the approach fix.
Roger, thank you. Proceeding to the approach fix, Lufthansa 451. Well, I suppose that's the way to do this. So, thrust line load descent heading, extend the center line, please. So, Delta Fox 450 and 246 is going to be the radial in, like this. Insert, full heading. Here we go. Alright, nice. Then let's go ahead and help the airplane a little bit, otherwise we might not make it in time. Well, and then let's start the approach briefing. So we're expecting the RLS Yankee approach from a 07 left, NSA 4300, minimum 510, the go-around is going to be left, initially 210, then 220, and climbing to 5000. Extra fuel time, we've got 3.3 tons, which equals 45 minutes. The approach will be flight director guided, config full with idle reverse, and vacate the runway to the right hand side. Taxi gate Alpha 62, and we got no hotspots. Well, if you want a hotspot, then everything that has wheels underneath it is a hotspot in Frankfurt. But apart from that, nothing special, nothing monster. Not any questions? No? Lovely, so that's our briefing complete. Then, pass of 10,000, lights, signs, ethers.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now beginning the final approach into Frankfurt. Please turn off your electronic devices and stow them until
So let's take a slight right-hand turn here, heading 190. Let's make that 180, that should be sufficient. Okay, so, there's that. Let's see down here, GPS primary, high accuracy, and select tracing. Perfect. Alright, cool. So, set QNH. QNH 1030 cross check, passing 8000. Now, checked. Lovely. Okay, cool. Then let's go for the approach checklist, please. Barrel ref, QNH 1030, seatbelts on, minimum is barrel 510, auto brake, low, engine start selector, none. The approach checklist complete. So, there's the glide slope alive. We'll keep the speed brakes until we're at like 6,000 or so, because we still need to lose some of that airspeed. So, V-Spartan over here, mines over here, airport over there. Alright then, going through 6. Speed brakes are coming back in.
Lufthansa 451 Heavy, direct Delta Foxtrot 454. Cleared for the ILS runway 7 left approach, Delta Foxtrot 454 transition.
Lufthansa 454, cleared ILS approach, runway 07 left. Yeah, I'm not going to read back that direct to 454 because that is nonsense. That is somewhere over here, and I have no idea why they want us to force us to fly that. I'll continue vectoring myself onto the final, and that's it. So left 160 once again, and then let's enjoy a little bit of manual flight. Just enjoyable flying this. Flight dynamics just feel good. Okay, activate approach phase, please. Alright then, turn left heading. What's that going to be? 100.
Contact Frankfurt Tower on 136.5.
1365, Lufthansa 454. Alright, could you just tune that one for me, please? Frankfurt Tower, Lufthansa 454, heavy, ILS Yankee 07 left. Right, approach.
Lufthansa
At 1,
451
glass
heavy,
look localizer
Frankfurt
blue.
Tower, roger, continue ILS Yankee 07 left approach.
Roger. So, a little heading to re-intercept this, and here we go, lock start. Alright, let's do a Frankfurt standard. That's 170 knots until 5 DME. And flap swap. Speed check. Flap swap. We do have like 8 knots of headwind. That is going to help getting ourselves properly established. But a little bit of speed brake here to be sure we lose that airspeed before we intercept the glide slope. Otherwise things are going to become difficult here. Alt. Glide slope star, go around altitude set, flaps 2. Alright, once you're down at 170, depending on the wind, config 1 can be enough to maintain that speed on the ILS. Sometimes config 2 is needed, sometimes even config 3. And that is a legal flap setting by Airbus. So you can do that. But I think right now we are nicely descending back into the glide slope. The speed is more or less steady, so config 2 is going to be enough. But if you need that bit of additional drag and you don't want to throw the landing gear just yet, then flaps 3 is an option that you can do. But I think looking at this, looks pretty nice. The 3.2 degree glide really shows here, because as you can see, even in conf 2 with idle thrust, the speed just about stays where it is. Okay. Lovely view on mines down here with Wiesbaden in the background. This is a beautiful area to go for a walk along the Rhine.
Lufthansa 451 heavy, winds 120 at 11. Runway 7 left, cleared to land.
Lufthansa 451 heavy, runway 07 left, clear to land. Alright. So the wind is going to be very much down the nose. Will flare just a couple feet higher than usual because of the slightly steeper glide slope, but it's nothing significant. Speed is nice and stable, gear down. Manage speed. And flaps 3. Flaps full. Speed checked, flaps full. Landing checklist. Ecam memo. Landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. So, a little bit less power than usual, since the glide slope is a little bit steeper. And this is looking good. Cabin is ready, wonderful. Alright, then I'd say nothing stands between us and a superb landing. But of course, as always, the challenge is accepted. Keeping speed control on final is very important on this aircraft type, because it just doesn't have a lot of drag, and therefore, if you lose the speed on final, which is very easy to do if you just add a little bit too much power, especially because the thrust levers are pretty sensitive in the region where you are on approach. If you gain too much airspeed, you're going to flare to eternity, then you have to force it down, things are not going to be pretty, so chances are you might easily approach a go around there. So let's be a little bit careful. See how easily the speed wants to run away there.
400.
Really got to keep your thrust setting. Land. Don't try to chase the glide with an airplane like this.
300.
Just keep it rough and steady.
$200 minimum.
Continue.
$100.
No big changes in pitch.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
So, spoilers, reverse green. Decel. Frankfurt, so we're just going to use idle reverse. Manual brakes. 70 knots. That looks superb. Alright. So we'll take the next exit to the right hand side. It does brake a little bit too good, if I'm honest.
Lufthansa 451, welcome to Frankfurt. Contact ground on 121.805.
121.805, Lufthansa 451. Alright, would you please tune
We have
that
just
for
landed
me?
and are welcoming the passengers to Frankfurt.
Frankfurt ground, hello, Lufthansa 451 Heavy, request taxi to gate Alpha 62.
It has one of the largest financial districts in Europe. Thank you for flying with Lufthansa. Please remain seated until we reach our final parking position. On behalf of Captain
Lufthansa 451, taxi to Terminal 1 gate, A62, via Papa 6, Papa, November 11, November 8, N8, Orange. Have a good day.
Lufthansa 451, taxi gate Alpha 62 via Papa, November 11, November 8. Bye-bye. Okay. So let's make sure we clear that runway up the bridge. Our taxi routing is a fairly easy one. I'll get you briefed on that in a moment. But first of all, let's get up that bridge. After landing checklist, radar and predictive wind shear off. After landing checklist complete. Lovely, and with that, here we are. It was a little bit unfortunate that we got the lag just prior to touchdown. Sometimes this simulator is just a little bit strange, is it? But in any case, we know where we are going now. It's always incredible to taxi over these bridges here, right across the highway. Alright, so we're coming from up here, going along Papa, November 11, November 8, and Alpha 62 is over here. Now while we're going along a straight line, let's go down to the GSX menu, see if we can, yes we can. Alright, so Alpha 62, we do not need any follow me for this, handling by Fraport. And here we go. So this one's always an interesting one to taxi down because your airplane is going to accelerate. And then because you're going through a turn, so it's not a very steep turn, but nobody can really tell you like what the speed limit should be along this turn. Some say 10 knots and then constantly stand on the brakes, heating them up by 100 degrees while going down. And others are like, well, 30 knots is no problem. So, yeah, you know, I suppose you can do either way, as long as you're careful. Okay, so the right side is clear, the left side is clear. You don't want to know how many drivers are not looking for traffic over here at this junction. Okay, clear on the left side, and off we go. So we're coming from over here. And then it's going to be the next to the left, and then we're already on the parking areas. Let's see what we did to the brake temperatures. 140. That's a bit too low. After using idle reverse and auto brakes low, it should be in the region of about 250. 300 even. Definitely going to report that one to INI. Okay, so next to the left. Always nice taxiing across the Lufthansa Technik hangars over here with all those aircraft parked. You often see 747s here as well, A330s. Unfortunately no more A380s, since they have all been based in Munich. So approaching November 8. Here we go, off to the left. A little bit of thrust to keep the speed in the turn. Even though this is not a tight one, as mentioned earlier, the plane really likes to lose speed in the turn. So start APU. It's an apron, we're allowed to go 15 over here. 12 should be just fine, so that we hopefully don't need any thrust anymore to make it into the gate. We're rather heavy, so we're not going to do 2-engine taxi. I'll keep them all running. Just loving this view. Having a view in the tower at Frankfurt, always nice. Missing a taxi line because you are looking at the tower, however, is not so nice. Alright, so APU starting, lights are coming off. Looking for Alpha 6-2, that's not this one, not that one, but that one I think. So Alpha 6-2 Bravo, that means next to the left. So lights are off, radar's off anyway. Here we go. That alarm clock was a nice foreshadowing of the gate arriving. Okay. So A340-300 is up there on the guidance system. In the real world they are using somewhat more modern guidance systems nowadays, though, which are a lot easier to park with. But I suppose this gets us done. Okay. So APU bleed on. Park and brake set. Then let's see on when APU bleed arrives over here. Here we go. Alright. 3, 4, 2, 1. Cabin crew, orders and park. Alright, we don't need that one. With the preview version that I'm using of this aircraft, the status page is a little bit too reactive. Shouldn't show as much, but here we go. Okay, so doors are disarmed. Fasten seatbelt signs are coming off. Then external power is coming on. Always turn the standby pumps off before the main pumps. And here we go, parking checklist please. So chocks are in position, park and brake are chocks, brake released, engines off, fuel pumps off, parking checklist complete. And with that, my friends, welcome to Frankfurt. Let's see, we've used 67.5 or 68.5 tons of fuel. Let's compare that with our actual expected figures, 68.5. That's good. We didn't fly the arrival, however, taxi fuel obviously had to be added, so saved a little bit there. Apart from that, we did a pretty good job being about right on fuel. My friends, and with that, I would like to thank you very much for flying along on our Airbus A340. I do hope you guys have enjoyed the flight as much as I did. I'm definitely having a blast with this A340, absolutely enjoying it. And I hope that you will do as well. For the time being though, thank you very much for flying. As always, leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on the channel, then why not consider a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.